What is up, everyone? It is Phoenix here, bringing guys another reaction. So technically I've already seen this, but we're going to watch it together, and then we're going to talk about it. So, we got our first Batwoman teaser trailer. Let's take a look, and then we'll talk about it. So, it's literally just this shot. I'm pretty sure this is that butt, though. I like the look. I can see it's been inspired by,
Who is this badass?
I am so excited to bring
oh, wait.
Batwoman to the screen.
Who are you?
Kane.
Oh, this is more than just...
Ruby's spectacular. Every time I look at her, I'm convinced she's the right face to be.
I thought this was just a
Here's
teaser.
a girl who's got tons of tattoos, who's a badass, who can hold her own, who's funny, who's compassionate, and she had such a strong passion for the character.
Gotham has enough problems without a guy in green leather showing off his arrows to everyone.
Or you can't put that suit on and not feel a level of strength, like, without even going.
I forget she has an
You know what I mean?
accent.
So you put it on, you're like, oh, I'm totally indestructible right now.
I forget she has an accent.
Not Batman.
This is her city, and I think that she's equally determined to keep it safe, but equally sort of heartbroken to watch how far it's fallen.
The faster you find what you're looking for, the faster you can get the hell out of my city.
Not only do I relate to so many parts of her, but she inspires me, and she's like one of my favorite comics.
Okay. But yeah, we just got this this look. And it says the Batwoman is coming soon. Now, I don't know if that is actual confirmation of a series that's happening. I know that we're supposed to get a first look at a pilot episode around somewhere in the summer. I think it's supposed to be around like June or August, one of those two. We're supposed to get the pilot episode or a pilot episode or something for Batwoman, but the series itself, the season itself, has not been confirmed. So we're supposed to get, and I think some people got a first look at the new Batwoman show at the of the first episode of sort of how it's gonna go. But that's it. I mean, people were really liking the first look at Batwoman, apparently. But that's all I know. There is no technically confirmed season for Batwoman, but I do think one is coming. I do think, especially, with the great reception from the Elseworlds crossovers, and I really did like the few minutes that we got of Ruby Rose. We didn't get a whole lot of Batwoman. It was just like one episode and then the end of the crossover. But I'm really hoping that she gets her own show, because I think it's a good way of integrating, Batman's villains as well as her own villains, because she does have her own villains. But it's not so much as a Supergirl situation where Supergirl gets all of Superman's stories. I think it's mainly going to be like Batwoman gets her own story, but we're probably going to see some rogues, some familiar rogues, popping up, like Clayface or probably not Clayface, but like more like Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn. Well, actually, probably not Harley Quinn either. Probably not Harley Quinn or the Joker, but we could see like Two-Face. We could probably see the rogues that aren't going to be in the movies, like Two-Face, maybe even Mr. Freeze. I would love to see a CW version of Mr. Freeze, and stuff like that. They're just the rogue villains in general. I think would be a really great addition to the Arrowverse, and it could also tie in to the Crisis on Infinite Earths, or Infinite Crisis, sorry. No, it's Crisis on, it is Crisis on Infinite Earths that's happening this year, technically. in the fall. That's coming. You know, the one that was teased at the end. This Crisis. Crisis is coming. Basically the merging of all of the Earths into one Earth. It's basically what Crisis is all about. It's merging all 52 or 53 or whatever, all of the Earths into one Earth to create the infinite Earth. And this will change the CW, the Arrowverse forever. It will merge Supergirl with Flash and Arrow, and I'm assuming that Black Lightning will also come and be a part of the Arrowverse because he's supposed to be on a different Earth or whatever. But when they merge together, they're going to be on the same Earth. They're all going to be on the same Earth. That's the whole concept of Crisis on Infinite Earths, that all of them come together and it creates one Earth. They are all on the same Earth. And that is going to have an effect on at least Flash. Arrow is coming to an end, and Supergirl, and potentially Batwoman as well. We know from the crossover that Batwoman is on the same Earth that Oliver and Barry are on. So I think that's Earth 1. I think they're on Earth 1. And then Supergirl is on Earth 38 because she was coming from the CBS and moving to CW. They didn't want to make Supergirl on the same Earth. And I think Black Lightning is supposed to be on the same Earth that Supergirl is on. And so that's all going to basically just come together and become one universe, one world. And we're not going to have this issue where people have to, jump through portals to get to each other. And then once that happens, I think we're going to see a lot more different crossovers. We're going to see, Supergirl and Flash team up with each other. We're going to see probably Batwoman come over, have these different crossovers that are more, because usually the crossovers are centric for Flash and Arrow, and really only those two. Those two are the ones that bring everyone together. But with the merging of the Earths, so that we're all in one Earth, we can then have more like Supergirl centric crossovers or like Legend centric crossovers. We can have them all be together, and we're not going to have these like hoops to jump through to get them on the same Earth. The reason why a lot of the crossovers are Arrow and Flash centric and not Supergirl centric is because, well, it's easier to bring Supergirl over there instead of bringing those two over to her Earth. Just because logically it makes more sense because you're bringing two shows. You're either it's the idea of bringing two shows onto one, or three shows onto one Earth, into one show, or bringing one show into three shows. It makes more sense to bring Supergirl over to Earth 1 than it does to bring, Flash and Arrow over to Earth 38. But with the merging of these Earths, it's going to create a system where it doesn't matter anymore. They're all on the same Earth. It's also going to basically retcon the Arrowverse, almost in the way that that Flashpoint did and created the New 52 universe, which is what they've been living in for right now. Crisis on Infinite Earths is going to go and basically create Rebirth. But I'm assuming that they're not going to do exactly that, because that would be crazy for them to do that, because then they would have to literally recast everyone. Instead, I think, we're definitely going to have permanent changes. This crossover that's coming up is definitely going to change everything. It's going to have a huge effect, because a lot of people complain about the crossovers not having a real effect on the shows individually. This crossover, Crisis on Infinite Earths, is definitely going to affect the entire Arrowverse, all of the shows in the Arrowverse are going to get affected. This is also when we are going to have to decide, or CW is going to have to decide, whether or not Black Lightning is a part of this universe. Because so far, they haven't really decided. They were basically, doing a little test to see if Black Lightning could stand on his own, and so far he is. I mean, I haven't been watching the show, but so far he can stand on his own. So the question is whether or not they bring him to the Arrowverse and make him officially a part of the Arrowverse. Because right now, Black Lightning is part of something else. And so now Batwoman was coming in with her show, and assuming, it goes well, I'm assuming that Batwoman is going to take the place of the Arrow show, scheduling-wise. And she's really going to start becoming the center of all of it. Because, I think there should always be sort of a center person, involved with these crossovers. And I think it would make most sense to either have her or Supergirl have their moments where they are more centered on the crossovers and their villains and their, because they have a lot of different villains that they could do in the Arrowverse. They could bring Brainiac, they could do Darkseid, assuming, they can do like the Legion of Doom, have Lex Luthor come back and then have him form basically a Legion of Doom with Reverse Flash and all these different villains, have basically like an Injustice League, where they could do like a Rogues Gallery type thing where they bring all the Rogues Gallery and they all have to help, fight off these people. We saw Nora Freeze, actually, in the Elseworlds crossover, which was a little bit weird, because usually Nora is, frozen, but we saw her in the crossover for whatever reason. But yeah, we have apparently a Batwoman show coming. And I'm actually bound for it. I would watch it. Because this is the closest thing that we're going to get to Batman. And Batwoman is her own character. Like, she's not like the female version of Batman. She is her own character. The female version of Batman is more like Batgirl. Batgirl is more like the female version of Batman. Batwoman is a completely different character. She has her own storyline. She has her own villains. She has her own arc. Like, she's not really part of the Bat family. That's the whole point of Batwoman. She's not necessarily a part of the Bat family, but in this case she is, I guess, because they're cousins. Which I think is also, them being cousins, Batman and Batwoman being cousins, is a part of the comics. Some version of the comics, I don't remember. There's so many comics to draw from. But the idea of Batwoman coming to screen is going to introduce Arkham to the Arrowverse, which is really cool. Because Batman, hands down, really does have the best villains out of all of the heroes. And so I would really like to see those villains, those familiar villains, but also new ones as well. The ones that aren't necessarily just Batman's villains. But obviously, since she's taking over the city, she's in charge of the city while Batman is mysteriously gone. Or, Bruce is, gone from the city. She's going to be in charge of taking this over. Now, the big question that everyone has, that everyone's been having, is whether or not the CW is going to cross over with the DC Universe. In the sense that is Titans, the Teen Titans, going to cross over with the Arrowverse. And I believe they said, basically, no. The idea isn't out the window, but there are complications with doing a crossover with an exclusive network, right? Or an exclusive streaming service. Like, that would pose complications with that. Titans is available outside of the US on different, on different cable networks, but for the most part it is going to be locked behind the streaming service And so that poses a complication as to, well, how exactly would they do it? Would they only exclusively bring them to the streaming service for a second, or would they only exclusively do it on the network? How would that exactly work? It wouldn't really make any sense. And so basically they said no. Basically they said no, that's not gonna happen. The Titans is basically just an Elseworld. Like they're all in a separate universe almost. I mean, technically, the Crisis would bring them all together, but they're just not going to do that. So that's not happening. But Batwoman would have a potential connection, and there are possibilities of the actors who play Titan's roles being able to show up in the CW, in the Arrowverse, to kind of tie those together if they really wanted to. But I think for the most part, Titans is doing their own thing, and CW is doing their own thing, and I think that is smart for them to do. With Gotham coming to an end, CW is basically the only network that is going to be having these DC shows. So it makes sense that they only keep it on the CW, and that they only include the CW shows, because otherwise you're making it complicated. Not everyone has a streaming service, so not everyone's going to be able to watch Titans, and it's going to create massive confusion, and it's not really going to work that well. I wouldn't be against seeing a Titans crossover with the CW, but I feel like it just wouldn't work with because they work very differently. The way that the episodes are launched on a streaming service is very different from how they're launched on a network system. Because obviously the networks have to compromise and make sure scheduling works out. They have to have their own schedules, but a streaming service doesn't have to have that, because they can just put it right up when the time is. And they don't have to worry about people missing it, because it's right there for anyone to see at any time they want to see it. But I wouldn't be against a Batwoman show at all. I would definitely watch it. I would be interested to see where Ruby Rose takes the character. There's so many aspects about it that is just really cool to see. Batwoman being included into this mix. She would also be the first, canonically gay female character to be a main character in the Arrowverse, at least. She is gay, and she's also Jewish, and she's gonna be the lead. Technically, Sarah Lance is gay as well, obviously bisexual. But she's not really the main face of DC Legends. Like, that could always change up. Obviously Batwoman would be the head of her own show, but DC Legends doesn't necessarily have that. So she would be the first to lead to be LGBTQIA on the network. So yeah, there you go. That's all I have for you guys. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed it. Comment down below. What do you guys think? Are you guys interested in the Batwoman show? What do you guys think? What do you think about Ruby Rose? What do you think about the crossover coming up? And peace out, guys. It's been a blast.